The morning in the Rogers house began as usual, warm and calm. John Rogers, a successful businessman, got out of bed before dawn. He liked to start his day with a run along the estate located on the outskirts of Los Angeles. His wife Amanda was still asleep, wrapped in a silk blanket on which the gentle light of the morning rays fell. John adored Amanda. They had been married for 10 years, and during that time he had done everything he could to make her feel like a queen. Luxury jewelry, designer dresses, trips to expensive resorts, private parties with famous people. All this was her everyday life. John never counted money when it came to her desires. When he returned from his run, he saw Amanda already sitting on the terrace enjoying a fresh cappuccino. Her long brown hair fell to her shoulders, and her blue eyes glowed as if she knew something that others didn't. "Morning, love," John said, kissing her cheek. "How was the night?" "Beautiful as always," Amanda replied with a smile. "I just thought, maybe it's time to rest a little. My girlfriends invite me to Miami for a week. What do you say?" John knew there was no point in refusing her. Amanda lived a vibrant social life, and her meetings with friends were an integral part of it. "Of course, dear," he smiled. "I will order a private plane for you. Maybe you need to buy something before the trip?" Amanda nodded gratefully, but her eyes looked a little distant. Maybe it's just tiredness or a desire to change the environment. In a few days, Amanda and 3 of her friends were already enjoying the golden beaches of Miami. All these girls were wives of rich men just like her, and they knew how to have a good time. Expensive cocktails, yachts, parties until the morning. But in the midst of this pleasure, Amanda was suddenly captivated by a new intrigue. His name was Nicholas, a young surf instructor with a tanned body that looked like it was carved from marble, and a look that could light a spark in even the coldest heart. Their first sight was on the beach, and this meeting was the beginning of something dangerous and exciting. Amanda was sitting under an umbrella on the beach, relaxing after a morning swim. Friends discussed new fashion trends and planned where to spend the evening, but Amanda barely listened to them. Her attention was focused on a man coaching a group of beginner surfers nearby. Nicholas, easily demonstrating the technique of riding a board, seemed to be the embodiment of freedom and youth. His carefree laughter and ease were in stark contrast to the life she had left behind at home. He looked her way, and Amanda felt something stir in her chest that she hadn't felt in a long time. "Let's go for a walk along the shore," suggested one of her friends. "You go, I'll stay here a little longer," Amanda replied, covering her eyes with sunglasses, even though it was just an excuse to stay and continue watching Nicholas. After a few minutes, she heard a voice. "Excuse me, ma'am, would you like to try your hand at surfing?" Amanda raised her head and saw Nicholas in front of her. His eyes shone with the sun, and his smile was so charming that she felt her cheeks begin to blush. "Me? Surfing?" She laughed, trying to hide her embarrassment. "I guess it's not for me." "Everything happens for the first time," he said, holding out his hand. "I guarantee you will like it." Amanda hesitated only a moment. She wanted to experience something new, to escape from the routine. Taking his hand, she got up from her lounger. Amanda felt insecure on the surfboard, but with Nicholas, she was at ease. He patiently explained how to keep her balance, supported her as the waves rocked the board slightly. Their hands touched from time to time, and the touch sent goosebumps through her skin. When they got back to shore, Amanda was laughing like a baby. She was wet from head to toe, but she didn't care. Nicholas brought a towel and helped her dry herself. "You did a great job," he said. "You have talent, madam." "You can call me Amanda," she replied, looking straight into his eyes. "Amando," he repeated softly, and it sounded like a promise of something dangerous. That evening, when friends were going to a loud party, Amanda decided to stay at the hotel. She explained it as tiredness after a busy day. In fact, she couldn't stop thinking about Nicholas. Her heart beat faster when she remembered his smile, his voice, his look. She decided to go for a walk along the beach. Fortunately, or unfortunately, her premonitions were not deceived. Nicholas was already waiting for her, sitting by the fire he had made nearby. "I knew you'd come," he said as she moved closer. "And if not," she answered, trying to sound confident, "then I would wait for you tomorrow." That night was the beginning of their secret romance. Every night they met on the beach, sharing thoughts and dreams. Amanda felt more alive than ever, but in her heart she knew This play with fire can turn into a disaster. Amanda awoke at dawn feeling anxious, mixed with excitement. Her meetings with Nicholas were risky, but every minute with him was filled with emotions she hadn't felt in a long time. She couldn't stop. They agreed to meet that morning on a small boat that Nicholas had rented for them. He explained that there, away from others, their time would remain their secret. Amanda knew she was going to extremes, but it only fueled her interest. The boat rocked gently on the waves. Nicholas, with the confidence of a captain, led them out into the open water. Amanda, wrapped in a light silk scarf, looked at the endless horizon. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, breaking the silence. "What exactly?" Nicholas smiled, although he understood what she meant. "You seduce a married woman." He stopped the engine and sat down next to her, leaning so close that their faces almost touched. "Because I see something in you that you don't seem to see yourself," he answered. "You live in a golden cage, Amanda, but you want to fly." His words rang too true. It seemed to her that he read her soul, knew her innermost thoughts. Amanda felt her heart skip a beat as he placed a hand on her cheek. "It's dangerous," she whispered. But she didn't look away. "The best things in life are always dangerous," he replied and kissed her. This kiss became the point of no return for her. They spent the day on the water enjoying each other's company. Amanda felt happy, but her subconscious reminded her that it was all just an illusion. In the evening, returning to the hotel, she noticed that her phone was bursting with messages. John left her several voicemails. "Hello, my love. How is the rest? You haven't written in a long time. I want to make sure you're all right." Amanda felt guilt like a heavy stone on her chest. John was always attentive and loving to her. He trusted her without question, and she was destroying that trust. She pressed the button to listen to another message. "I have prepared a surprise for you. When you come back, you and I will go to Europe for 2 weeks. I want to spend more time with you, my love." Tears came to her eyes. At that moment, she realized that she was teetering on the edge of an abyss. She was faced with a choice: to leave this affair and return to John, or to continue down a path that could destroy everything. That night she met Nicholas again. They were sitting on the beach by the fire. "I can't do this anymore," she said, looking into the fire. "What exactly can't you do?" he asked calmly. "To lie. John is a good man. He didn't deserve it." "And you?" Nicholas replied, leaning towards her. "Do you deserve to live the life you want?" Amanda didn't know what to say. Deep down, she knew he was right. Her life was always defined by others: John, society, expectations. But was she willing to risk everything to be with Nicholas? Amanda decided that she would leave this romance in Miami. It will only be a temporary escape, a brief glimpse of freedom before she returns to her normal life. But the last days of her vacation with Nicholas turned out to be so hot and unforgettable that she could not erase them from her heart. In the following days, they met every night, finding secluded places so that no one would see them. One such meeting was an evening on a rented yacht. Under the starry sky, amid the gentle noise of the waves, they drank wine together, sitting on the deck. Dressed in a light silk dress, Amanda felt her heart flutter with anticipation. Nicholas came closer, hugged her by the shoulders, pulled her closer. Their lips met, and the kiss ignited with a passion that seemed unstoppable. His hands slowly slid down her body, removing her dress until she was left in just her underwear. "You are like a wave," he whispered, looking into her eyes. "Powerful, unpredictable, beautiful." They made love just on the deck under the moonlight, forgetting about everything in the world. She felt alive, freed from all the frameworks and rules that had dictated her life until now. Another evening, they spent time in a small bungalow near the beach. Candles burned on the table, illuminating the room with a soft golden light. Amanda was sitting on the couch when Nicholas came up behind her and placed his hands on her shoulders and began to slowly massage her. His touches were gentle, but at the same time passionate. She threw her head back, closed her eyes, and enjoyed the moment. "I don't want this time to end," she whispered. "Then don't let it end," he replied, leaning down and kissing her neck. They made love on a silk bed, in the warmth of the candles and the sea breeze coming through the open windows. Every touch, every kiss was remembered as part of something forbidden, but incredibly beautiful. Their last hours together were spent on the beach where they first met. The night was warm, and the moon hung over the ocean, casting a silver light on their faces. Amanda sat in Nicholas's arms, listening to the sound of the waves. "I know it has to end," she said with a sigh, "but it will stay with me forever." "No matter where you go, a piece of you will always be here with me," he answered, touching her face. They made love for the last time on the sand, under the starry sky. The moment seemed timeless, as if reality had no power over them, but both knew that the morning would change everything. When Amanda returned to the hotel, she was both exhausted and emotional. The words of Nicholas echoed in her head again. "You deserve to live your life." But what did that mean? Could she leave everything to be with him? The last night of their affair became a lesson for her. Love and passion can change a person, but is she ready to destroy everything to start over? Amanda understood that she could not live in obscurity. She needs to know the truth, even if it means risking losing everything. After a sleepless night, she decided to take a paternity test. But to do that, she needed to collect John's DNA samples and find a way to contact Nicholas. One evening, Amanda waited for John to fall asleep. She took a few hairs from his toothbrush. Her hands were shaking as she tucked the bag of hair into her purse. Guilt gnawed at her soul, but she convinced herself that it was necessary. The sample was sent to the lab along with her own. The results should come in a few weeks. Amanda contacted Nicholas again, explaining the situation. "If it's my child, I want to know," he said. They agreed to meet in a neutral place. Amanda arrived at the appointment with her heart pounding so hard in her chest it felt like it was going to jump out. Nicholas, as always, was calm and confident. He handed her a sample of the tissue he had used during their coffee conversation. "Whatever you decide, Amanda, no, I don't hold a grudge against you," he said in parting. His words only added to her confusion. 2 weeks passed in a blur. Amanda tried to act natural, but John began to notice her nervousness. "You look tense, love," he said one evening. "Maybe it's because of pregnancy?" "Yeah, I guess," she muttered, looking away. But she knew that it was not only because of the pregnancy. She was tormented by thoughts about the future. What will happen if the child is not from John? The results came sooner than she expected. Amanda took the envelope from the lab but didn't dare open it right away. She returned home, locked herself in her bedroom, and slowly tore open the sealed edge. The first test is John. She quickly turned the pages to the result. John Rogers, 99.9% probability of paternity. Amanda felt her body go limp with relief. The child was from John. She immediately checked the second test to make sure. Nicholas Martinez, 0% probability of paternity. Amanda closed her eyes as she felt the weight lift off her shoulders. She knew what that meant. Her child was the product of her marriage to John, and she could leave her affair with Nicholas in the past, a memory that would never return. Amanda decided to tell Nicholas in person. They met again in the same cafe. "It's not your baby," she said bluntly, but her voice was soft. Nicholas just nodded. "I'm glad you found the answers you were looking for. Live happily, Amanda." Their conversation ended quietly, without unnecessary words. She knew that this was their last parting moment. Amanda returned home with a strong intention to leave everything in the past. She decided to focus on her marriage and future child. "I'm so happy we're going to be a family," John said as he hugged her into the night. Amanda smiled through her tears. Now she knew she had a responsibility to cherish and protect what she had. A few months later, life seemed perfect for the Rogers. Amanda increasingly felt the joy of pregnancy, and John became even more attentive and caring. They chose the colors for the children's room together, bought the first toys, and planned the future as a real family. But it seemed that the peace would not last long. One morning over breakfast, John received a call that changed everything. His company, a successful business for many years, was hit by an unexpected decision by competitors who created a new revolutionary product. While John had always been confident and calm, this time Amanda saw him seem helpless for the first time. "I could lose everything," he said later that night. "If I don't find a solution, we risk being left with nothing." Amanda felt fear, but also knew that this was her chance to support John. She began to take an interest in his affairs, to ask about details. It was a new role for her, but she knew she had to be there for him, just as he had always been there for her. In the 7th month of pregnancy, the doctor told Amanda that her pregnancy had become risky. She was found to have high blood pressure and the possibility of complications during childbirth. The doctor recommended complete rest and close supervision. It was a blow for both. John tried to focus on saving the business, but was constantly worried about Amanda. It was difficult for her to accept the new reality, where she became limited in her actions. But at the same time, she realized that now she is responsible not only for herself, but also for the future child. Amanda decided it was time to change her approach to life. She began to talk more with John about her feelings, about her fears and worries. She also pitched him new business ideas, using her social connections to find investors and partners. John, in turn, began to devote more time to the family, realizing that the support of Amanda and the future child are more important than any business. The night was quiet but restless. Amanda had been tossing and turning in bed for several hours, trying to find a comfortable position, when she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her stomach. At first, she thought it was just discomfort, but the pain persisted. Instead, he grew stronger, and later she felt something warm begin to flow down her legs. "John!" she screamed as she felt panic wash over her. John, who was still working in his office, heard her and rushed to the bedroom. "What happened?" he asked, seeing Amanda's startled look. "The waters have broken. It seems that everything has started," she answered, clutching her stomach. John pulled himself together instantly. He helped Amanda get dressed, grabbed the suitcase he had prepared in advance, and called a taxi. They decided not to wait for an ambulance since the maternity hospital was only a few miles away. John held Amanda's hand as they got into the car. "Breathe, love. Everything will be fine," he repeated, though he looked confused himself. Amanda breathed deeply, trying to calm herself, but each new wave of pain seemed unbearable. "John, I'm not ready," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You are strong, Amanda. I'm with you," he replied, squeezing her hand tightly. "The birth is premature," said the doctor who met them in the waiting room. "Amanda, trust us. We will do our best." After several hours of tension and pain, Amanda finally heard the doctor's words. "A little more, Amanda. One more effort." Gathering all her strength, she made one last push, and the room was filled with a loud baby cry. "You're having a boy," the doctor said, carefully placing the baby on Amanda's chest. Amanda looked at her son, feeling tears of joy stream down her cheeks. John stood by, holding them both close. "He's beautiful," he whispered, not taking his eyes off the child. Amanda smiled, forgetting all the pain and fear she had felt just moments ago. "Henry," she said softly. "Hello, our little Henry." The child was born prematurely, but is healthy. Amanda and John, holding the baby in their arms, realized that all the challenges they had gone through were worth this moment. "Now we have a new beginning," John said, looking at his wife and child, "and I won't let anything ruin that." Amanda nodded, feeling peace and joy fill her heart. Roger's life began to return to normal, but with the arrival of the child, many things changed. John named the newborn son Henry in honor of his father, and Amanda decided to devote all her time to the family. Although the challenges did not disappear, their lives became full of new meanings. John returned to work as the company began to recover thanks to his hard work and Amanda's help. But combining the role of a father and the head of a large business turned out to be a difficult task. "Are you late again?" Amanda asked one evening when he returned home again after midnight. "I'm doing it for you," he replied, kissing her forehead. "But I will try to change the schedule." Amanda saw how John was trying, but at the same time understood that he needed to be reminded of the importance of family. She began to arrange small dinners at home, where she invited John to postpone work for at least a few hours. Amanda thought that becoming a mother would be easy, but the reality was quite different. Henry turned out to be a restless child who often cried at night. Amanda felt exhausted. Sometimes she wanted to cry with her son. One day she confessed to John, "I don't know if I can handle it. I'm tired and I feel like I'm doing everything wrong." John hugged her. "You are doing everything right, my love. I know it's hard, but you are the best mom for our son." After that conversation, John started helping out more with the baby, and they decided to hire a nanny so Amanda could rest. After the birth of the child, Amanda's friends began to write and call her. They invited her to events, demanded a return to social life. But Amanda felt that she no longer wanted to live the life that once consumed her. "You've changed," said her friend Michelle when they met for coffee. Before, you were always in the center of attention. Yes, I have changed, Amanda replied, smiling, and now I'm happy. She realized that she no longer needed approval or recognition from others. Her priority was family. Amanda was enjoying her new life with her son Henry. Her days were filled with the joy of motherhood, and her nights were filled with quiet conversations with John. She felt that their family was becoming even stronger after all the hardships. But a threat was brewing outside their home that she couldn't even foresee. Amanda's friend Michelle, who went with her on that ill-fated vacation, had long been envious of her perfect life. And she always secretly wanted to win back her husband. Watching him worry about Amanda, how he cared for their son, her jealousy turned into a desire to destroy their marriage. One day, when John was in his office, Michelle decided to act. She arrived unannounced, dressed in an elegant red dress, and insisted on being admitted to him. "Michelle, what are you doing here?" John asked in surprise when he saw her. "John, I need to talk to you. This is important," she said as she sat down in the chair across from him. "Did something happen to Amanda?" he worried. "It's Amanda I want to talk about," she said, looking him straight in the eye. John could feel the tension rising. "What do you mean?" Michelle pretended to hesitate for a moment, then sighed. "I know it hurts to hear, but you deserve to know the truth. Amanda cheated on you when we were in Miami. She had an affair with a young man." John stared at her like he couldn't believe his ears. "What did you say?" His voice was calm, but there was anger in it. "I didn't want to tell you," Michelle continued, "but you have the right to know." After Michelle left the office, John was left alone with his thoughts. He tried to recall any details that might confirm or deny Michelle's words. Amanda was indeed a little strange after that vacation, but did it mean something more? He could not concentrate on work. His mind kept returning to that conversation. John didn't want to believe it, but doubt had already settled in his heart. When John came home that night, his face was grave and withdrawn. Amanda noticed it right away. "Did something happen?" she asked, holding Henry in her arms. "We need to talk," he replied, gesturing to the kitchen so they could talk alone. Amanda put her son in the crib and followed him. Fear arose in her heart, but she could not imagine what exactly had happened. "Michelle came to see me today," John began, looking straight into her eyes. Amanda tensed. "And what did she want?" "She said you had an affair when you were in Miami. Is this true?" Her face turned pale. The words stuck in my throat. "John, Just tell the truth, Amanda," he cut her off. His voice was calm, but his eyes were burning with anger. Amanda realized she couldn't hide anymore. "Yes," she said quietly, lowering her head. "But it was short-lived, and I regret it." John took a step back as if her words had hit him physically. "Do you regret it?" he repeated. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was afraid of losing you, John. It was a moment of weakness, a mistake, but I love you and our son." John left the house that night, leaving Amanda in tears. He went to his office, where he was alone, thinking about what he had learned. He was filled with anger, pain, and frustration. He wanted to know if he could forgive Amanda, but he didn't know the answer yet. After that conversation, John and Amanda's life changed. John decided to temporarily move to a guest house located on the territory of their estate to be alone and think about everything that had happened. Amanda stayed home with Henry, trying to give John the space he needed, but at the same time, her heart was breaking in pain. John plunged headlong into work. He spent long hours in the office trying to avoid any deep conversations with Amanda. They talked only about what was necessary, about Henry or household matters. Amanda could feel his coldness and knew she deserved it. She tried to be patient, although the pain of his withdrawal was becoming unbearable. "Are you going to be late at work again?" she asked one evening when he was about to leave. "Yes," he answered shortly, not even looking in her direction. Amanda watched him close the door and wept softly as she held little Henry to her chest. After a few months, Amanda decided to act. She couldn't stand the distance between them anymore. One day she approached John while he was working in his office at home. "John," she began, standing in the doorway, "I know you're hurting. I know I hurt you, and I can't justify it. But please give me a chance. Give us a chance." John looked at her. His face was impenetrable. "Amanda, do you want me to just forget? This is impossible." "No, I'm not asking you to forget. I just want you to let us try again." "It's not that simple," he answered. Time passed, and although John kept his distance, some moments began to break down the wall between them. Amanda did everything to show her devotion. She supported him in his work, showed attention to small things, was always there when he needed. One evening when Henry took his first steps, John was at home. He saw Amanda holding little Henry's hands, encouraging him. Her laughter, sincerity, and care moved him. "He's becoming like you," she said as John took his son in his arms. "He's stronger than either of us," John answered softly, smiling even though he still felt pain inside. A year after Michelle revealed their secret, Amanda received an invitation to a charity night. She decided not to go, but John, unexpectedly for himself, suggested, "You should go. I will go with you." This gesture was the first step towards restoring trust. At the event, John watched how Amanda interacted with others, how carefully she answered questions about the family, how she talked about him and Henry. In her eyes, he saw not the woman who ran off into an affair with Nicholas, but the one who was committed to their marriage. One evening, John invited Amanda to talk. "I've been thinking about us for a long time," he said, "and I realize that hatred and exclusion will not bring us anything good. I can't change the past, but I want to try to build our future." Amanda cried when she heard his words. "I don't deserve you, John, but I'll do anything to prove my love." John hugged her for the first time in a long time. "We're stronger than that, Amanda. I want Henry to grow up in a happy family." Although the wounds were slow to heal, John and Amanda began to rebuild their marriage. They learned to trust each other again, spent more time together, talked about their feelings. John learned that love is not only about perfection, but also about the ability to forgive. Amanda, in turn, did everything to never give him reason to doubt again. It's been a long road, but they've come through it together, stronger than ever. Michelle, who started the flywheel of destruction in Roger's life, hoped that her words would finally destroy John and Amanda's marriage. She expected that John, disappointed by his wife's betrayal, would pay attention to her. But time passed, and Michelle increasingly understood that her plan had not worked. One evening, John and Amanda attended a party hosted by a mutual friend. It was the first event they attended together after a long period of separation. John held Amanda's hand, showing his devotion to her. Michelle was also at the party. She hadn't expected to see them together, and even less expected them to look so happy. Her heart was filled with disappointment, but she couldn't afford to lose control. "John, Amanda," she greeted, walking up to them with a smile. "Michelle," Amanda replied dryly, feeling her body tense up. "You look beautiful together," Michelle said, as if nothing had happened. "Thank you," John replied, hugging Amanda. "We really have a great time." Michelle tried to keep the conversation going, but her anger and jealousy were evident. Amanda felt it and realized that Michelle had not changed. After a few days, Amanda decided that she could no longer leave things as they were. She knew that Michelle's intention was not only to tell the truth, but also to harm their family. She met Michelle in a coffee shop. "Why did you do that?" Amanda asked, looking her straight in the eyes. "I don't understand what you're talking about," Michelle answered, pretending to be innocent. "You know what I mean," Amanda said firmly. "You came to John with what I should have left in the past, and you didn't do it because you wanted to help him. You did it because you wanted to destroy our marriage." Michelle was silent for a few seconds, but then broke down. "Do you think you deserve him? You betrayed him, Amanda. You are not better than me." "Maybe I made a mistake," Amanda answered calmly. "But I'm trying to fix her. And you? You only want to destroy what I'm building." Michelle looked away. Her envy and hatred were no longer hidden behind a mask. "You don't understand what it's like to love without reciprocity," she whispered. Amanda felt her anger drain away, leaving only compassion. "Michelle, you will not become happy by destroying others. If you really want to change something, try to find your happiness and love your husband and not take someone else's." After this conversation, Michelle distanced herself from the Rogers. She no longer tried to interfere in their lives. Instead, she began to think about Amanda's words. The conversation with Amanda was a turning point in Michelle's life. She could no longer deny the truth. Her jealousy and anger were not simply the result of loneliness. They were rooted in a deep disappointment with her own marriage, which had long since turned into an empty formality. Michelle returned home that night feeling her mask finally shattering. She looked at her husband, Harry, who was sitting in the living room, absorbed in the television, and realized that there was no more love between them. "Harry, we need to talk," she said, sitting down next to him. He glanced at her, looking surprised. "What happened?" he asked, turning off the TV. Michelle took a deep breath, gathering her strength. "We both know that our marriage has not been working for a long time. We simply exist together, but there is no love or understanding between us." Harry was silent, but his face showed agreement. "You're right," he finally said. "We are holding on to something that has been gone for a long time." The decision to part ways was mutual. They agreed to do it peacefully, without quarrels and disputes. Michelle moved to a small apartment nearby and began to rebuild her life. She felt freedom for the first time in a long time, although this freedom was mixed with pain and uncertainty. "I will no longer live for anyone else," she told herself. "It's time to find who I really am." A year after her divorce, Michelle was already a different person. She no longer tried to destroy other people's happiness, but built her own. She developed a new relationship with Daniel that became a source of inspiration, and she learned to trust and love in a new way. She wrote another letter to Amanda. "Dear Amanda, I want to thank you. Your honesty and strength helped me realize that I was living wrong. I finally found my place in life. I wish you and your family only the best. Sincerely, Michelle." Amanda smiled after reading the letter. "She found her way," she told John, handing him the letter. "Hopefully that will close this chapter for good," he replied, hugging her. Roger's life gradually became calm. Henry grew up to be a healthy and cheerful boy, and their marriage, though it had its scars, was stronger than ever. Michelle, who once tried to destroy their happiness, has now become an example of how even the most difficult moments in life can be the beginning of change. John and Amanda have proven that even the deepest wounds can be healed by working together. Their path was not easy, but they remained faithful to each other and were able to save their family. Similarly, Michelle, although she made many mistakes, realized that it is impossible to find happiness by destroying others. Only by accepting the truth and coming to terms with it was she able to change her life for the better. The truth always comes out no matter what the circumstances. A lie, even if it is hidden, sooner or later finds its way into the world. But you can deal with it if you meet it with an open heart, honesty, and willingness to change. The truth always wins, even if it hurts. But only the truth allows you to start living truly. End.